Yo, what's good, peasants? JB back here today with some more Pokemon Unite. Sort of, we're doing a tier list today. You guys can read the title, you guys can read the thumbnail, you know what's up. And we're actually gonna be doing this a little bit differently because, well, we already know a lot of where things may lie in this tier list, including what is going to be going in our God tier. I think that might be spelled wrong. But I'm actually just gonna go through, and we're not really gonna discuss a lot of things. We're basically just gonna be discussing the characters that got changed as most recent balance patch. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw everything in where it was in the previous patch, and if anything needs to be adjusted from there, we will. But let me go ahead and do that real quick. But before I do end up doing that, please be sure to let me know what you think I may be wrong about or right about. You know, give me your takes in the comments down yonder. That's what they're for. So yeah, be pretty cool. Be sure to like, subscribe, do all that sort of nonsense. And yeah, we guess should probably also go over our tiers real quick. We have the dog tier, God tier, dog tier, God tier, dog tier. We have the silly goose tier, which is our S tier. We have astonishing, which is our A tier. Those Pokemon are, you know, probably very, very good. We have our yes tier, which is the A-B+ range. We have Thanos, which is like our B tier, which is, you know, the more balanced things that aren't good, aren't great. We have the can you not tier, which is like Pokemon that are like okay, I guess, but like there are a million other better options. And then we have the D tier, or the don't/needs buffs tier. These are Pokemon that I consider to be the worst in the game, but aren't necessarily bad, just could use a little bit of love. So those are your tiers. Now let's go ahead and get everything where it is supposed to be based on the last update, because honestly, a lot of stuff kind of where it's been for a while. So let me do that. All right, so we have everything placed aside from the things that received updates in the previous patch. Well, okay, I lied. Water Bear was already here. Well, Water Bear is just gonna move up anyway, because A, the Surging Strikes nerf didn't really hurt it, and B, it was too low. I was being cautious with it. And yeah, another thing I'm going to go ahead and change. We're going to be moving Hoopa down 1. We're going to be moving Mime down 1, and we're going to be moving Clef up to S tier, because Clefable is absolutely insane, heals a ton, Gravity's great. Mime, still a pretty good, really solid character. It's just, I don't know, feels like it's fallen off just a little bit. Still very, very good. You could even argue for A tier, but we're gonna give it like high A+. I just think Hoopa, it's a better auto attacker. I think honestly Rescue Hood trick is kind of insane, and that's not to even, you know, factor in the other build being good as well. So yeah, I think Hoopa's still really, really good. And another one I wanted to go ahead and do is move Slowbro up to S. Slowbro is borderline necessary on every team right now, because it is one of the few things that can even remotely help against ZACIAN. So yeah, Slowbro, it's always been really good, and it is the hero we need right now. Slowbro's great. I don't really think there's anything too crazy that I might want to swap out here. I could see moving Lucario down 1. I could also see moving Tyranitar up, but the only thing keeping Tyranitar out of S tier is just its early game. Although I guess it did get buffed too. I haven't seen it or played it myself, but I can't imagine Stone Edge actually being good. We don't, just because its good build did get nerfed, that also keeps it at S tier. There we go. Also, I'm sorry, I'm very congested, very allergy-y. So Lucario is the one I'm considering moving down. I think Lucario's fine in A tier, honestly. But looking at the rest of A-B+, I think everything here is pretty much fine. Could maybe argue Sylveon going up. I don't think anything really needs to move down. Down here, I think this is all fine. You can maybe argue A9 going up with the addition of Spoon, but also Glaceon you could argue moving up because of Spoon too, by the way. But that's a video coming very soon, by the way. Yeah, I think honestly I'm still pretty fine with most of this. Let's go ahead and talk about the characters that did have received buffs, including Comfey. First and foremost, who receive, or we're just gonna throw it up in the dog tier while we're talking about it. It's not where it's gonna end up. I mean, we already know what's sitting up in the dog tier. But yeah, Comfey. They released it horrible. It was in D tier in the last tier list. It was down here with Talon and Charizard, who I still think are both terrible, by the way. I do think Comfey is very good and borderline overbuffed. I think it's honestly borderline S. And the only thing keeping it out of A tier for me is the fact that if you do play it solo queue, you are completely at the you're completely beholden to your teammates, and if they don't do anything, then you're useless. However, that completely counteracts the fact if you're playing solo duo trio, like if you're playing rather when they do a trio or even a 5-stack, Cafe is just absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, I think A tier is fine for Cafe. DELPHOX, it's not nerfed. They didn't nerf anything important about DELPHOX. Yeah, they changed the mystical fire damage a little bit, but you still get the insane resets, you still get the insane cooldowns on it, and flame charge, the movement speed at level 13 doesn't matter. Like, cool, it's a nerf, but whatever. And then I will say the fire blast buff feels good. I still personally wouldn't run it because I just like resets more. Like, yeah, you can say, yeah, but the fire blast does more damage. Well, I get to click mystical fire more, so it kind of evens out. Either way, DELPHOX is still S tier, it doesn't really matter. All right, Dragonite. Okay, you've been around here for a while. You know, I am one of the biggest haters of all time of Outrage Dragonite. I think it is one of the worst builds in the entire game. They finally buffed it enough to get it into the B tier, I think. I still think it's a little bit rough. It's basically an ADC in an all-arounder's body, and it's good. Outrage is a lot better than it was. I do think exchange speed weirdly is actually kind of better because the stun is just nice. It'd be a lot better if you didn't have to lock on to get a stun, but or at least the dash. That'd be cool. But yeah, I think it's actually Outrage is okay. I'd still rather have any other all-rounder. I'd still rather have a Garchomp. I'd still rather have an Ozzy. I'd still rather have a T-Tar. I'd still rather have literally any other melee for the most part, but it's better. So there you go, all of you Dragonite Outrage believers. I think it's better than it's been ever, but that's not really saying much, you polished turd. I'm going to continue to hate on the build even if it's good. All right. LD, they nerfed the cooldown of Cotton Guard, which is fine. Probably did it. They probably did it with anticipation of the Rescue Hood coming in. And I've played a good amount of Rescue Hood LD, and I'm gonna be real, I am just not a fan of Cotton Guard in general. I seriously feel like I heal more when I just run Pollen Puff than when I'm running Pollen Puff and Cotton Guard. It's just because I feel like the kit is just so much better with Cotton Spore, but maybe that's just me. Either way, I think LD is still a very, very good character. Attack, support, hybrid. We're gonna go ahead and keep it in the A tier where it was. All right, I'm gonna save the next one alphabetically because I have a hot take about it. Gardevoir. Gardevoir got a little bit of a cooldown nerf. I think it's still incredibly strong. Still does a sharp ton of damage. So I had it in A-B+, and I think it's fine to leave it there. I don't really think the nerfs hurt it too bad. It's just a little bit of a a little bit of a cooldown nerf on a Pokemon that already has a lot of built-in CDR, as well as a Pokemon that runs black green, as well as a Pokemon that oftentimes runs energy amp. It's not really super noticeable, but it is in fact a nerf, and I think it's still a fine character. Trevenant. I'm moving you up to A tier. I don't care. I love Trevenant too much to keep it out of A tier. I don't want to hold my tree back. It's so good. It's so fun. I'm a huge fan. Wait, why is Mamoswine? Mamoswine's supposed to be up here. I don't know why Mamoswine got moved down. Mamoswine, I'm looking over at my other tier list once I pulled up the the Pokemon that got changes, and Mamoswine was in A tier. Mamoswine's phenomenal. Either way, Trevenant, I'm tired of holding back my tree. Finally, both builds are playable. Pain Split is actually pretty good. I can't believe I'm saying that. Pain Split is actually good. Curse Horde Leech is still a phenomenal build. It's probably still the better build if we're being honest. Woodhammer, very playable, very viable. The CC on it is great. The stuns on it are great. The damage on it is great. The activation time, great. Trevenant's good. I love it. I am so happy that we are in a Trevenant world, and I'm so happy that my tree got buffed. I've been a Trevenant believer since day one. All right. Speaking of Pokemon, I'm kind of a believer in Wigglytuff. I think Wigglytuff is actually really solid. I said I was gonna move them up here when I was talking about them. I completely forgot about that. Sorry. Yeah, Wigglytuff. I think it's actually very, very underrated. Sting is great. Rollout's decent. Both of its attacks or whatever. But the Unite move cooldown buff is so good because you are just giving out a ton of shields. Now there are certain characters that shields don't really matter for. Looking at these guys. Looking at this guy. But there's also a certain character that shields do kind of matter for. It's not bad against it. So it helps a little bit. I'm not saying it helps a lot, but it helps a little bit. I think Wiggly's honestly a little bit overlooked right now. I'm gonna give it the S tier. I'm gonna give it A-, B+. I think it's more towards the B+. And of that, it's probably one of the lower tier Pokemon in this. But I do think it's a little bit more viable. I'm moving Snorlax up, by the way. I don't think it's on par with Snorlax, but in terms of, you know, defender hybrid, a support defender hybrid, more so a defender than a supporter. I honestly just think they should switch Wigglytuff's designation to defender. By the way, that would just, they should just do that. But yeah, I think Wiggly's just super undervalued. I really like the Unite move cooldown on it. It's a very solid Unite move, and I think Sing is just really good. Q-Carp's still broken. Yeah, Wiggly's in a pretty good spot. All right, Zoroark. So what they did to Zoroark was they buffed they nerfed the early game for Zorua, but buffed the late game for Zoroark, I think is how it ended up working out. And they buffed Cut. I'm gonna give Zoroark B tier with the caveat that a good Zoroark is as good as any character in the game. The problem I have with Zoroark is the fact that it is a very difficult character to learn mechanically. And it is, you know, a lot of Zoroarks that I run into and that I see in my solo queue adventures don't exactly have the mechanics of the character down, but the people who do have the character down, the people who know how to play Zoroark, are absolutely insane. And the problem is it just doesn't provide a ton of value if you don't really know what you're doing. You can say that about any character, but I feel like Zoroark more proportionally to, or disproportionately to, other characters kind of suffers from that effect. But the character's, you know, fine. It's a really strong, really powerful carry. So yeah, big fan of it. Just, you know, player base needs a little bit of boom. And now the last two, Espeon and ZACIAN. So everyone is talking about how great these Espeon buffs are and how amazing they are. And yes, I will go ahead and grant that a buff is a buff. I think the biggest part of the buff is the boosted auto. I think that's by far the biggest part of it, because it's actually a massive buff from like 39% ratio to 54%, and then from 160 to 230 damage. Like the damage buff on that is absolutely insane. That is by far the best part of the buff, as well as your ability cooldown being reduced. Magic Bounce got its ability, or its cooldown reduced, so that's good as well. That is more important than the range buff in my opinion, because honestly, the range buff, while very helpful in certain situations, is also kind of a detriment because of the way the game mechanics work in terms of aiming, and the game just aiming for you. You don't really get to control where you're aiming a lot of the time. You just go to, you know, press and hold down your side shock. You have to drag it all the way across the screen because it'll be targeting a, you know, like a wild Baltoy behind you, and someone's coming at you from the other side. You'll have to, it'll like meet in the middle, and you'll have to drag the side shock all the way around, and it takes longer because of the range increase. There are scenarios, there are times like that where it's really difficult, but the range, when you're not, you know, getting trolled by targeting, is such a good buff. I had it in the, where did I have it last tier list? I had it in the Can You Not tier. The highest I'm willing to go is A+. I see people talking about it like it's the best attacker in the game. I don't think that's even remotely true. Mew exists, Venusaur exists, Glaceon exists, Sylveon exists. Like, I don't know where we're getting off saying it's that much better than all those characters. I do think it's in a lot better place. I think it's a very viable character. Just let's reel it in a little bit on saying it's the best attacker in the game, because it's far from it. Mew exists. Anyway, last and certainly not least, yeah. We don't need to talk about it. It's the most broken thing they've ever done. Anyway, quick, short, to the point tier list this week. Appreciate you guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you think again of my rankings. This is pretty much how it is at the current moment in my mind. And with that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will catch you all in the next one. Take it easy, guys. Peace.